So let's get one thing straight. This is not about fluff, magic spells, or pretending that success will just happen. This is about harnessing your most powerful tool, your brain, and training it to work for you. It is only your brain, a little knowledge, your intention, and your thoughts that are going to take these mindset principles from living in this course to working for you, day in and day out. In this module, you will learn how to hack your brain based on the actual structures of your brain that make thoughts work and habits become habits. We'll also talk about why manifestation models are worth talking about, not as spiritual fluff, but as science-based systems. We'll talk about why your brain responds to the steps in this course. You can install a new, better operating system because of how your brain is built. So we'll talk about how to train yourself to think better, act smarter, and stay on track. We're also going to talk about what manifestation really is and isn't, and how these systems can be very useful. If that sounds hokey, stay tuned and just trust me. We're looking at systems and science here. Intentional, mindful thinking. Metacognition, not superstition, not chaos, just practical, actionable, simple methods for managing your thoughts, building better habits, and getting more done. We're setting the stage with one simple mantra here. Your brain is programmable, and you are the programmer. And that's the mindset to bring to this module, openness. So before we dive in, you are here, overcoming limiting beliefs. At this stage, we're facing our thought patterns. We're ready to rewire outdated beliefs and train our brains to perform under pressure, even in the face of fear, doubt, or imposter syndrome. So our FirePoint challenge today, watch the full module through. Choose one thought pattern or habit you want to upgrade and say why. And then number 3 is another social post. I want you to post your brain hack goal on social. So let's reinstall the operating system. Our goal today is to install these mindset principles in your brain so you can start to rewire bad thinking into positive and productive. To do that, we're going to talk a little bit about neuroscience and psychology, how your brain is built and why it works the way it does. What follows lays out a truly powerful brain hack because it's quite simple. Our 7 principles work wonderfully well based on how our brains work, and they're also really easy to follow. But there's also the part where this is actually going to take some work on your behalf, at least to get the installation part done. And this all comes down to one very well-established fact. Our brains work in pretty predictable ways most of the time. But that's not always to our benefit because they're pretty good at getting stuck in habits. And that's because it's literally how the brain is built. The structure of our brain is quite literally built on tiny loops of feedback that get stronger as you think the same things over and over again. That feedback is called a neural connection. One neuron connecting to another neuron to pass along information. Where you've repeated a habit or a thought many, many times over, it becomes a very strong neural connection. Think of it as a neural connection made of steel, or really globby goo made from lipids, but let's go with the steel metaphor for now. My point being, those bad habits you most need to undo, they're going to be the strongest neural connections that take the most repetition to undo. So that's up to you. But the first step is understanding how structure relates to function. And if we really want to change the structure, we have to think through that function. But of course, you can always make good habits into very strong neural connections too, by thinking those same thoughts over and over again, and literally starting to rewire from the bad to the good. Strong bad connections get weak, and then you make the good connections stronger. The key here is intentionally choosing how you're going to think, and then rinse and repeat. Remember that metacognition thing I mentioned? That's how you're going to do it. I will take a second to throw in the necessary disclaimer. Our brains aren't actually that simple, and there are a lot of other confounding factors. But for the purpose of setting ourselves up with a very useful system to rewire, hack the brain, this is really all we need to focus on for now. So, neural connections, making the good ones strong and the bad ones weaker, by our own metacognitive efforts. Brain power for the better. So here's a fun little truth bomb. And I really like these because I like to be a bit of a disruptor and go against the grain. I also really love to study the hokey stuff to see if there's anything useful in it. I've personally studied a lot of methods for personal growth, and I kind of like deep diving into the hokey stuff, trying to figure out where the commonalities lie between witchy incantations and the neuroscientific overwhelm from some of the leading scientists. I've had a lot of fun mulling over a bit of everything, from hardcore neuroscience to productivity hacks, and yes, even the much maligned world of manifestation. But here's what I've discovered. There's useful science behind what people call woo in manifestation. These manifestation models tend to lean on the same principles of neuroscience and psychology that we spoke of earlier. So while many of them dress up their methods in magical speak, there's still a pretty solid underlying psychology to how they work. And this probably explains why so many people see actual real-world success in studying manifestation. Honestly, I'm not here to poo-poo some of these techniques and talk about the merits of others. I love them all because it's fun to study them and find common links. But I'm on a bit of a tangent here. For now, we're going there. Let's talk manifestation. So manifestation gets a bad rap. It's often dismissed as magical thinking or culty self-help nonsense. But here's the truth. Most modern manifestation models, think The Secret, Think and Grow Rich, Atomic Habits, Joe Dispenza's neuroscience forward work, they're all quite simply grounded in psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral theory. These models help you build neural pathways for success. They help you train your attention towards positive outcomes. They create cognitive systems for staying calm under pressure, and it's really interesting how they do it. So I'm going to unconditionally propose here and now that we allow ourselves to think about what we can manifest. Not because we're hoping for anything mystical or magic, because at its core, manifestation is simple, powerful, and useful. It's not about sitting back and wishing. It's about getting clear, getting aligned, and taking intentional action. Manifestation is a cool and actually very grounded way to think about growth. To manifest something is to take responsibility for what you want. It says, I believe I have the power to change my reality through thought, effort, and aligned action. That power can lie simply in your own metacognition and committing to installing new principles in your approach to learning, business, and growth. Real manifestation is equal parts mindset and strategy. Mindset in rewiring limiting beliefs, building confidence, and thinking like the person who already has what they want. And strategy, setting goals, making decisions, and executing with clarity and purpose. It's also about energy, choosing how you show up, what you focus on, and how you stay in momentum. So manifestation is about possibility. It opens the door to asking, what if I can actually get to my goal? What if I'm in charge of that? It encourages you to think bigger, act bolder, and challenge old patterns that keep you stuck in playing small. So yeah, manifestation doesn't necessarily mean just crossing your fingers and hoping the universe sends clients. It means backing yourself, taking the wheel, aligning your thoughts, actions, and beliefs with the future that you want to build. That's what every powerful business owner is doing, whether they call it manifestation or not. And I like it. So let's manifest our own success. And let's talk again about systems. Remember that the systems you're setting up here matter more than just willing yourself to change. Willpower is a finite resource. Systems are renewable. You're giving yourself everything you need to level up. When motivation dips, and it will, systems save you. Manifestation models encourage you to build mental systems that anchor your goals in actionable cues. They train your focus with habit loops, and they create triggers for flow and productivity. So lean into systems. Open your mind, if I haven't already challenged you to do that by calling it manifestation, and lean into a deliberate energy, choosing how you show up, what you focus on, and how you stay in momentum. Let's look at why this works for entrepreneurs. As a small business owner, you face uncertainty, pressure, creative fatigue, and decision overload. Methods and models help with all of these by design. The real power comes from training yourself to identify what you want, prime your brain to notice opportunities, reinforce progress through self-reward. You are manifesting your thoughts through systems and principles that rewire your neurons. As long as you are backing yourself, you're taking the wheel, aligning your thoughts, actions, and beliefs, and headed to the future you want to build and the success you want to see in all your entrepreneurial efforts. So my personal aha moment, let's talk about this for a second. I tried manifestation. I dug into the teachings of a fun, witty, entirely obscenity-ridden British manifestation coach and her content. So sue me, it was COVID times and I'd been reading a lot of science-heavy stuff while studying transcendental meditation at MIU, so I had some fun with it. For no reason other than to see what happens, and I very quickly learned that I felt a little less anxious, I had a little more clarity, and I understood that intention is everything. I started making better decisions in how I was thinking because I was frequently thinking about thinking and how I wanted to think. I realized this is simply about thinking better on purpose, and that changed everything. So yes, from here on out, I might just use manifestation terminology, talk about energy, and lean into systems like theirs because they're simple, effective, easy to understand, and easy to apply to life. And now you know where this comes from and why. So our resources and activities for this module. We have The Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is one of my all-time favorite books, so I'm going to refer to it a few times. We also have the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. In the vault, we have a Manifestation versus Science one-pager and a Neurohacking for Entrepreneurs cheat sheet. So let's look at our activities for this week. So we have a writing prompt for today. What belief do you need to shift in order to grow? Can you think of an action that will help you rewire that belief? Write this down. I am my business's greatest asset. I am training my brain to thrive. Apply this week. I want you to build one new habit loop. Set yourself a metacognition reminder to stop and think about how you are thinking. Do this once a day for 7 days and see how that new habits help. Make sure you put this reminder into your calendar. Try priming your day with a morning intention. It's a really great way to start off on the right foot or the right thought. Our fire points for this module: number 1, watch the full module. Number 2, choose one thought pattern or habit you want to upgrade and say why. And then number 3 is another social post. I want you to post your brain hack goal on social. Tag Rose Ember Foundry with hashtag mindset not magic. Manifestation is mindset, intention, and strategic action. I have come to think of it as a mental operating system upgrade because you don't need to believe in magic. Just believe that your brain is trainable because science backs that up. So today you learned why your brain responds to the 7 steps in this course and beyond. You learned that you can reinstall a new, better operating system because of how our brains are built. And we looked at how to train yourself to think better, act smarter, and stay on track. We talked about what manifestation really is and isn't, and how these systems can be useful. So a quick reminder, the You Are Here, Step 5, Overcoming Limiting Beliefs. Next up, we trust the process. But for now, I want you to pick one mindset upgrade and implement it this week. Set reminders to think about how you are thinking. This metacognition is the very foundation for hacking your brain and your thoughts. This isn't about believing harder, it's about thinking better. Your brain and your business will thank you. Let's move on to how we actually build your brand. Let's move on to how we actually build your brand from this powerful foundation.